Hi guys, welcome to another 2-minute devotion with Dad. Moving on, sort of between chapters 2 and 3 of Mark, there's a couple of issues that sort of arise over the two chapters. And the first one I'll bring up is Jesus healing the man with the deformed hand on the Sabbath. And he was really under fire here because the Pharisees were onto him about Sabbath works. And Jesus said that the guy, come and stand in front of everyone. Does the law permit good deeds on the Sabbath, or is it a day for doing evil? Is this a day to save a life or destroy it? But they wouldn't answer him. But he looked around at them angrily and was deeply saddened by their hearts, their hard hearts. And he said to them, hold out your hand, and the hand was restored. At once the Pharisees went away and met with the supporters of Herod to plot how to kill Jesus. Now, as I was reading this morning, something occurred to me for the first time. Not just the fact that Jesus had anger, because it says quite plainly that he was angry, but there were two types of anger in this chapter, in this little passage. There are two forms. First of all was Jesus and his anger, which we'll come back to shortly. But then I think that the Pharisees were also angry at him because they went away to plot how to kill the supporters of Herod. Sorry. They met with the supporters of Herod to plot how to kill Jesus. So, bit of a slip of the tongue there. So they were angry too, and it sort of implies, even though Jesus had actual anger. So there's a right form of anger and there's a wrong form of anger. And the reason why there's a right form is because Jesus had anger, yet he was without sin. And that's really significant, because this type of anger here, it actually is the only time this verb form is used in the New Testament. It's sort of with grief or with anger. Probably because it's an adverb here, I'm not sure. But he had anger and yet he was sinless. So the take-home message is, it is okay to get angry. And as I've always said to my kids, it's what you do with it. And that's what counts or matters or makes the difference. Because Jesus had anger and yet he was able to do what he did through his anger despite it and still do good. Whereas the Pharisees took their anger and did all the wrong stuff. And so the challenge is, what are you going to do with your anger when you have it? And this is the biggest take-home message for me of all. And I need to be really mindful of this with what I do with my anger when I have it. How do we manage that? Because Jesus clearly had these emotions like we did, and he was able to manage them. One thing that I wanted to just go back to, Mark chapter 2, just the passages before, what invokes this kind of anger in Jesus? One day, as Jesus was walking through some grain fields, his disciples began breaking off heads of grain to eat. But the Pharisees said to him, look, why are they breaking the law by harvesting grain on the Sabbath? Then he goes into the story about David, which I think I read last time. And one thing that my Bible notes talks about, which is really interesting, in this controversy, Jesus and his disciples are accused of breaking the Sabbath in that passage. Picking grain by hand in another person's field was actually lawful. And it's given there. The charge was that by rubbing the chaff from the kernels that they were working on the Sabbath, which was forbidden. So it's this nitpicking that they are going to. They're going to all kinds of lengths now to try to find the smallest jot and tittle, as it's called, as to how they are breaking the law. And they, rather than just sort of, when Jesus, I talked about this in Matthew sometime, they don't worry about the larger issues of the law, justice and mercy. Let's see if I can find it somewhere here. Chapter 3. It's the woes, the judgments that are coming, or the 7 woes. I probably won't find it. Didn't plan for this one. No, it's okay. But it's when Jesus is talking about the reasons why the Pharisees were to be woed, was because they're worried about all the wrong things, the wrong things. They're not concerned with loving God or knowing God. They're not concerned about loving man. They're concerned about their own pious self-righteousness. And it's these acts of here and here that actually showing up the Pharisees' own shallowness that's making them angry. And it's Jesus's indignation at what the Pharisees are doing to try to find fault in him and his disciples with their genuine acts of service. That's what making Jesus angry. So back to the question, what are we going to do with our anger? It's very important. One of the most significant things we'll do, how we respond, is that time of anger, because it could have permanent ramifications, due to permanent damage, or have good outcomes too, depending on how we respond with our anger. And just an encouragement to you guys today: just be careful, be mindful how we respond. Me too. This is my Devo for me, and just be mindful of how we respond and why we're thinking or feeling this way. Because at the end of the day, once that moment has passed, people won't remember the moment, but they'll remember how you responded, and that is what will become your legacy. Bless you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.